On behalf of the 10th Circuit Historical Society, I want to welcome all of you here to what I think is going to be a really interesting and enjoyable event. I want to welcome especially Judge Jenkins, our guest of honor today, Judge Jenkins' family, members of the judiciary who are here, a lot of old-timers who are here. It's nice to see all of you. And people whose lives Judge Jenkins has touched in many ways. Bruce Jenkins graduated from law school in 1952. At the age of 31, he was appointed to fill a vacancy in the Utah State Senate. He was then elected twice to that same Senate seat, and a few years later, at the age of 37, he was elected to be president of the Senate. He was appointed to the bankruptcy court as a judge in the bankruptcy court in 1965. Keep that date in mind, 1965. What were you doing in 1965? He was appointed by Jimmy Carter to the federal bench as an Article III judge in 1978. He was confirmed by the Senate, and in the year 1978 he began serving as a district court judge. He became chief judge in 1984, and he turned over the reins of the chief judgeship in 1993. He assumed senior status on the federal bench in 1994. He is still actively judging in this court. Our purpose this evening is to celebrate and reflect on the incredible record of public service of this good man. He has served on the bench for 50 years. Just think about that. Let me tell you what our plan is tonight. First of all, we're going to have what I think you'll find a very, very interesting video presentation from Ken Verdoia at KUED. And then we're going to have a comment via video from Judge Thurman of the Bankruptcy Court. Judge Thurman couldn't be here tonight. And then we're going to have a discussion among a panel of Judge Jenkins's former law clerks, and I think you'll find that very interesting. And then we're going to have a few words from Judge Jenkins. And then we're going to adjourn to the common area outside in the lobby for food and drink. And so that you'll have a chance to say a word to Judge Jenkins and to your friends here. So, Ken Verdoia is the Director of Production at KUED, a position that he's held for an awfully long time. He is the winner of 29 regional Emmy Awards, and he is, most importantly, for present purposes, he is the producer of a documentary called Courthouse, which aired for the first time last spring and was put together under the sponsorship of the federal court, the 10th Circuit Historical Society, and KUED, and we worked with him closely on that. And he worked closely with Judge Jenkins on that. So welcome, Ken Verdoia.
You're well placed to figure what is a journalist doing in this gathering, lacking experience and expertise and education that has never stopped someone from television from holding forth on all things legal, whether anyone pays attention to him or her or not. Tonight, when the Bar Association learned that I was part of the presentation, they are all going to deduct you 1 CLE credit as penance, and hopefully you can make this up at a later date. What to say about Judge Bruce Jenkins briefly before I introduce the reason for my appearance here tonight. As I was starting the preliminary research on the documentary Courthouse, which tells the story of the magnificent existence of the Moss Courthouse from its earliest days where people fought over real estate to its final decommissioning, one of the great pleasures was getting to know and spend time with Bruce Jenkins. In his chambers, we talked for 3 hours over 2 occasions. And with the typical attention span of television, of those 3 hours, 3 minutes made it in the documentary. I keep assuring myself they were the best 3 minutes, but 3 minutes nonetheless. And bright people would come up to me and say, but what about all that other good stuff? Louise York especially. And Louise, I see you trying to hide in the back. She's right. There was an incredible range of topics considered in those 3 hours that never made its way into the telling of the story of the Moss Courthouse. What I came to appreciate over those 3 hours as I listened to this learned, experienced jurist is that he and I savor something very, very special. And that's the simple phrase, in the course of human events. Okay, part of the preamble to the Declaration of Independence. What does that really mean? But Judge Jenkins helped me understand that our experience in this great nation is a continuum. And we're all the product of the course of those human events. And if we're careful, and if we try our very best, we get to contribute on a daily basis to that accumulated course. We live too often in the now, in the soundbite, in today's headlines. But Judge Jenkins helped me appreciate the course of human events is something our federal courts shape on a daily basis through the efforts of a lot of important people, not the least of which are juries, not the least of which are talented attorneys, not the least of which are the litigants who come there with their cases and controversies and try to sort this mess out in real time and in the process define what it means to be an American. Thank you, Judge, for those hours together. So how do I expand on those great 3 minutes? Well, I agonized over the 3 hours. I brought it down. Louise said she would be very cross with me if I went longer than 20 minutes, but sure enough, I've gone longer than 20 minutes. It's 22 minutes. You may hold that against me. I considered this in 3 parts. First of all, any lengthy legal career always has a signature case. Judge Jenkins has many. Frankly, I would have lobbied for the case of the local religious group that was producing its own wine and had run afoul of the Food and Drug Administration, and their attorney, who's subsequently deceased, passed away, said that, Your Honor, this is not wine. This is, in fact, liquid knowledge. And it's derived from the Egyptian Book of the Dead. Now, I don't know if they issue this in judge school. But Bruce Jenkins says, well, that's fine. It just so happens I have a copy of the Egyptian Book of the Dead in chambers. And he pulled it out. And what the attorney was trying to blow past the court as an exacting recipe for liquid knowledge was, in fact, this rather ambiguous statement about drinking from the nectar of knowledge. So anyway, the argument did not carry the day. But what stuck with me is, how does a judge know to have the Egyptian Book of the Dead for that one day where it's going to become the critical citation? For me, the signature case of Judge Jenkins' many, many years, of course, will be Allen et al. Versus the United States. If you want to look at a case that embodies all that our democratic republic system can be, look at the opinion written by this man, his talented legal clerks, and argued by very determined litigants. Look at the balance of power. Look at how we hold our government accountable. Look at how the least of us has redress against the strongest of us. That's how I begin this piece, with the judge reflecting on Allen. And then it grows into his reflections on what it means to be a judge and how the process of law has changed over years with the advent of technology, but really hasn't changed when you boil it all down. So for the next 22 minutes, I will step away and remind you that Courthouse is for sale in the lobby when our time is over, and it's on discount to now specifically so you can enjoy Judge Jenkins' 3 minutes. It's available for $10 for those of you participating tonight. Please wait till the end when you're filing out to the reception. I'll be the one with the tin cup out. I am from public television. But for now, please reflect with me on the thoughts of Judge Bruce Jenkins.